All right, welcome. I'd like to call the Village of East Dundee regular board meeting, May 18th, 2026. I guess it's not 19 anymore. To order. Do roll call.
Trustee Oakland,
Here.
Trustee Guma,
Here.
Trustee Sauter,
Here.
Trustee Saviano,
Here.
Trustee Kunze,
Present.
and Trustee Mahoney is absent. President Pearson.
Here. Let's do Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We have a quick proclamation to read. Motorcycle Awareness Month. Whereas safety is the highest priority for highways and streets of the village and state, the great state of Illinois is proud to be a national leader in motorcycle safety, education, and awareness. And motorcycles are a primary, common, and economical means of transportation that reduces fuel consumption and road wear and contributes to a significant way to the relief of traffic, parking, and congestion. And it is especially meaningful that the citizens of our village and state be aware of motorcycles on the roadway and recognize the importance of motorcycle safety. And the members of the Abate of Illinois Incorporated, a brotherhood aimed toward education, continually promote motorcycle safety, education, and awareness to high school drivers' education programs and to the general public in our village and state. Presenting a motorcycle awareness programs to over 120,000 participants in Illinois over the past 9 years. And all motorcyclists should join Abate of Illinois Incorporated in actively promoting the safe operation of all motorcycles, as well as promoting motorcycle safety, education, awareness, and respect to the citizens of our village and state. And the Motorcycles of Illinois have contributed extensive volunteerism and money to national and community charitable organizations. Whereas during the month of May, all roadway users should unite in the safe sharing of roadways within the village of East Dundee and throughout the great state of Illinois. Now, therefore, I, Daniel Pearson, President of the Village of East Dundee in the great state of Illinois, in recognition of 39 years of Abate of Illinois Incorporated and over 352,318 registered motorcyclists statewide, and in recognition of the continued role Illinois serves as a leader of motorcycle safety, education, and awareness, do hereby proclaim the month of May this year, 2026, as Motorcycle Awareness Month in the village of East Dundee, and all motorists to join. I urge them to join in the effort to improve safety and awareness on our roadways. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and cause the great seal of village of East Dundee affixed to the 18th day, May, in the year of 2026. Do we have a proclamation to give to them? Is that it? Yes, we have a Tim Lawrence here, also that is here.
I will issue it in
Okay, we're gonna have to issue it and mail it to you,
It
Tim.
could be on the other end of the night.
Yeah, well, we'll mail it to you,
Okay, cool.
all right?
Appreciate the.
Thanks for coming.
Appreciate the support. And just a reminder, we're nonprofit, we're nonpartisan, and all those classes that the driver said, those are all free to the community, so.
Great, we appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. My wife delegated May as her birthday month, so you're gonna have to share it. Okay, let's move on. Public comment. Anybody here for public comment?
I've received none.
Okay. Then we are on to our public hearing, which I'll just read. We now open the public hearing regarding the redevelopment plan and project for the proposed Beverly Road and Route 72 redevelopment project and tax increment finance district. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak on that subject? Okay. Do Do we need a motion to close it?
So Jackie ran into some traffic, so to give the presentation, are we able to do that after the hearing, or does that need to be a part of
What,
the
do we open it?
public hearing?
Well, we can do the presentation anytime. It
Okay.
doesn't have to be during the hearing, so
Yep.
we'll just do it when she gets here.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
As long as I didn't know if that were gonna be questions from the public or something, so yes, that's probably.
Okay, we're gonna need a
Yes,
motion.
and we need a motion. to
We
close.
need a motion to close the public hearing.
I make the motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, take roll call or vote?
Trustee Oakland,
Yes.
trustee Guma,
Yes.
trustee Sauter,
Yes.
trustee Saviano,
Yes,
trustee Coonsey.
Yes.
it is.
Do we need to go back into it? She's here now.
Hello, we just finished closing
Yeah,
the
actually,
public
we
hearing,
can-
but you can
We
go
can
ahead and
reopen
start
it?
if you're ready.
Yeah, let me just set this down and we're ready to begin.
Nothing like jumping right into it.
Let's do this. All right. Well, good evening. My name is Jackie Mish. I'm a principal planner with Vanderwall and Associates. We're leading the process to adopt the village's redevelopment project plan. And Caleb, if you could go to the next slide, please. Or do I need to do it? 'Cause
Top right, 3 dots.
oh, I can just do it. Okay, it's a PDF. Got it.
Top right, you can go to presentation mode.
Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Stupendous. So this is the public hearing for this project. So we have a brief presentation providing an overview of the project. Just as background for those of us who may not be familiar, what is tax increment finance? Well, that's an economic development tool that cities and villages use. It can be necessary to fund infrastructure improvements in certain areas that are needed for investment. And in particular, it helps overcome any extraordinary costs that may be needed or in place to overcome those costs that may hinder desired development. TIP plans have 2 parts. The first part is a redevelopment plan and project in which we outline the intended future uses and redevelopment future for the district. And the second part is the eligibility report, in which we demonstrate how the proposed TIP district meets the Illinois TIP Act, and I'll talk about that shortly in my presentation. So first, I'd like to provide a brief overview of the proposed project. To begin, there are several different objectives that we're seeking to accomplish through the adoption of this plan. I won't read all of these, but particularly one key objective is to move forward with site preparation activities for the proposed district, and also establish economic growth and development by fostering the development of modern industrial uses or potentially an industrial park, supporting the village's long-term economic growth. And then additionally, tax-based growth is another key objective. So the proposed TIP district is located on the east side of the village. As you can see here, it's located just south of Route 72 and just west of Beverly Road. It includes 10 parcels. 4 of these parcels are already in the village, but the 6 parcels on the east, as shown as the slide here, would need to be annexed as part of this process in order to be considered as part of the TIP district. As I said before, the future land uses envisioned for this district include a modern industrial or business park that would include land uses that would be permitted in the village's M1 zoning district. And then the costs associated with the district include site prep, public works improvements, stormwater improvements, and project costs. And we'll talk about those briefly in the next few slides ahead. The next component of the TIF plan is the eligibility report, again showing how we meet the criteria that the state establishes for TIF eligibility. And so we've made a finding in the TIF plan that the proposed TIF district is found to qualify under the TIF Act. And specifically, it meets the criteria for a blighted area TIF district. And that we've made a finding that we found sufficient blight factors present in line with state law. Much of that due to the fact that This is the former floaty sand quarry that was located in this parcels, and there's some stormwater and flooding issues currently present. So I won't go through all of this, but these are the different criteria that the state law lays out, and we're aligning with 4 different blight criteria for this particular TIF district. So very briefly, I'll just walk you through each one of these. The first criteria that we felt that this TIF district met was obsolete platting. So if you look at the parcel arrangement in this district, you'll see that there's parcels that are landlocked, parcels that don't meet the village's minimum lot size, and certainly it doesn't align with the desired future use of a potential business park. And so this is something to do with the fact that a lot of this land was platted before it became part of the village with an intended agricultural or mining use. Additionally, we find that the district meets the criteria for environmental cleanup. The property owner has conducted a number of different studies on the property indicating potential environmental issues due to the current use on the property, and so these are areas that will need further study. And so we found that this district does meet that criteria. There's also a qualification factor in the statutes that is for properties that are unused quarries. So we find that this proposed district does meet that requirement as well, as it is home to the Peloti Sand Quarry that would be vacated, thus making this a vacant quarry and meeting this requirement under the statutes. And then the fourth one is chronic flooding or surface water discharges. So this is probably one of the biggest ones that we see in the district. Due to the history of mining in this location, the hydrology on the site is very disrupted. And so all the water, all the rainfall that lands on this site really goes to one single pit that doesn't have a specified outlet, and so it really relies on infiltration. And so if we get a lot of rainfall, that pit does not handle all the water, and indeed that is what happened in 2020 when the pit failed and there was severe flooding in the area. Some of that impacted neighboring properties. So consequently, the property owner is working with a qualified stormwater engineer to develop a stormwater management strategy to address those chronic flooding issues. Those are anticipated to come with significant costs and currently pose meaningful challenges to redevelopment of the property. A few final slides here. A key purpose of TIF is to increase the equalized assessed value of the properties within the district. Currently, the base value, or the current value of the parcels in the proposed district is about $2.5 million. Depending on what the build-out looks like of the business park, we're estimating a wide range, but upwards of $60 million value or higher on full build-out of the proposed business park. As I mentioned before, this does come with some significant costs, as you can see in the TIF plan. These are just estimates. These certainly are expected to change over the life of the TIF district, but the substantial costs you see here involve stormwater improvements, public works improvements, and other site prep that is needed to make this a viable business park. And from there, just a quick overview of the process. So this was first presented to this body in December. In January, the Joint Review Board reviewed the proposed plan and recommended it to this body. Tonight is the required public hearing. Then the final step is yet to be scheduled, but it involves this body of adopting 3 different ordinances, and those ordinances would formally create the TIF district. The state statutes do align, or I should say, lay out different shot clocks on some of these actions. And so starting from today, if the board is going to take action on the TIF plan, that does need to occur between June 1 and August 16th of this year in order to kind of meet those desired timeframes. And from there, I will thank you for your attention, and this concludes my presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
let's move on. We don't need to re-vote to close that again. Let's move on to the consent agenda. Entertain a motion to accept that.
I am going to pull out item C from the consent agenda
Okay.
And E as well.
and E as well.
All righty. C and E, got it.
I will move to approve a regular village board meeting minutes dated May 4th, 2026. I will also move to accept the warrants list in the amount of $589,049 and 7 cents. I will move to approve an ordinance granting a Class E liquor license to Blues Barbecue, Duke's Blues Barbecue, and amending section 116.05B of the code to increase the number of Class E liquor licenses. And I also move to approve a resolution approving a memorandum of understanding between the Village of East Dundee and the Village of West Dundee pertaining to wastewater treatment.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, vote.
Trustee Oakland,
Yes.
trustee Guma,
Yes.
trustee Sauter,
Yes.
trustee Saviano,
Yes.
trustee Coonsey.
Yes,
Okay, I'll entertain a motion for C.
I'm going to recuse myself from this item due to the fact that I am related to one of the
Okay.
nominees.
Which
I'll
one?
make a motion to approve a resolution. Oh wait, I'm on the wrong one.
C.
Yeah, approve a resolution providing advice and consent to the appointment of Mary Kay Harvey and Malachi Stanger to the Arts Council of the Village of East Dundee.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, go.
I just want to say Malachi is here and he's waving, so thank you, and we are excited to have you on the Arts Council.
Awesome.
And Mary Kay is
Second
also
that.
here? No,
Mary Kay is not here,
she's not? Okay. You approved these, right?
no. Shocking.
Okay, let's go ahead and vote.
Trustee Oakland,
Yes.
trustee Guma,
Yes.
trustee Sauter,
Yes.
trustee Saviano,
Yes.
Welcome to the committee. Thanks for helping out.
Welcome. Thank you.
Okay, now let's, I'll entertain a motion for consent agenda E.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution approving a non-exclusive outdoor seating area license agreement between the village and River Street 102 LLC.
Second.
Okay, what's the discussion?
And then just had a few clarifying questions. I'm in favor of this. I think that would be a great addition to the town, and a lot of residents are asking for this, but wanted to clarify a few things. Like one thing that we talked about last week was reaching out to the two business owners who had written before, and I was wondering if that happened and if we had any feedback from them.
I don't know if they responded, and I'm not sure, because Bronco was gonna reach out. So I haven't heard anything.
He's on vacation now.
Yeah, he's on
Okay.
vacation this week, sorry.
And then there were two suggestions that were brought up about like including the parking blocks that we had done before, discussing if that was going to be the same this year or different, and that combined with the raising the floor so that there's less of a step down, and that would also help with traffic. Were any of those requested to be part of this to kind of set a standard for them to aim
Well,
for?
the raising would require them to put an ADA ramp in there also, so I think that they're not gonna do that right now. Unless there's something down the road, but even down the road, we wanted them to go up instead of out in the parking lot. So,
Well, I mean, there are two steps down, so this would raise it so there wouldn't be steps down, like from the sidewalk to the lower sections. I thought that it was kind of for accessibility.
I think we talked last week, or last time to recommend that for the future, but I don't think they're gonna do it right now.
Yeah, when Tina was here, she said that would be cost prohibitive, so, again, I think we talked about maybe down the road, if this was gonna be more long-term, for them to be able to make that investment, but I
Okay.
think for this short period of summer, it's kind of, like I
Well,
said, cost prohibitive.
I think that if it is, in fact, this is being looked at as a short-term solution,
Right.
then, you know, before it comes back next year, we have a whole year to talk about what sort of regulations we would wanna put into a situation like this. I think we should, have those discussions between now and then, because it seems like it's not really going to be a short-term solution. It's going to be coming back next year probably, and then we're going to have the same conversation and say, oh, well, you know, we were going to do that, but we didn't, so we're just going to go, you know. But, you know, before that comes up next year, we should have that conversation between now and then, is what I would say.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think if we had them do that, where are they gonna put it then in the winter time?
I mean, at some point in
This is a
time,
platform.
they have to come up with their own solutions to
Correct.
problems, but yeah.
I can put it on future agenda to discuss recommendations for outdoor seating in the public way, and then we can come up with a standard,
Yeah.
and then,
Erica, when we do that, can we get all the proposed locations for future businesses too? Like if there was like 4 locations throughout our downtown that would fit this need.
I think part of the discussion last week was that this is encouraged and we want to allow any business that has like a viable space to be able to do it. So as part of any discussion we have on a future agenda, we can implement some policy recommendations and then say that it's available to anybody, and then we would review it sort of like on a case-by-case basis.
Perfect.
But have it on the website so everybody knows it's available to everyone.
I like it.
Well, like you said, everybody's got it for the most part.
Yeah, I understood that. I just figured if a new business came in or
Yeah.
Right.
one of our empty retail locations.
Well, the advantage they have is they have the parking garage right behind them, so. Anyway, all right, anything else you wanna vote?
Yeah, I think that for this year, but mentioning to them as they build it out so that they're aware that this is being discussed, because if they're going to build something new, I wouldn't want them to build something and then hear about the new ideas for rules right after they build it, so.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk to them, but it was my understanding that it'll be status quo as last year, same as this year, and we'll
Yeah.
put the same barricades in, and they don't have any aspirations or plans currently to do anything other than repeat what they did last year, but.
And that was the concrete jersey barriers?
Right.
Okay.
But that's all.
Okay.
Trustee Oakland,
Yes.
trustee Guma,
Yes.
trustee Sauter,
Yes.
trustee Saviano,
Yes.
trustee Coonsey,
Yes.
Okay, on to other items, a discussion presentation from the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning regarding the pavement management plan. Phil?
Good evening. Okay, good evening. I would like to begin by expressing our sincere appreciation to the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning, CMAP, for selecting East Dundee's application for participation in their Technical Assistance Program. The Pavement Management Program, or plan, will be an important planning tool for East Dundee that will emphasize the importance of pavement preservation, describes the current condition of our street network, evaluates road improvement and maintenance costs, and provides funding alternatives for maintaining, improving condition rating levels. As I mentioned in my memo, CMAP used 2 consultants for this planning level study. The first one is AECom, who is the program manager for CMAP, and Michael Baker International, who performed data collection and will be developing the actual plan for the village. Joining us this evening are Brett Brown is here representing CMAP, and then we have Abbas Kachwala from AECom, and Nathan Kabidi is with Michael Baker International. Nathan will take us through the presentation here momentarily, which will also include an overview on how the data was collected. I should mention that although the plan that you'll see, or the slideshow, will talk about some of the streets that, the condition ratings for some of our streets. There are 6 streets that will be improved this year. That will include Barrington, 2nd, Adams, 4th, Railroad, and Hines. And we'll have to update this plan at some point going forward, subsequent to this year's street improvements. So without further ado, Nathan, if you would mind taking us through the presentation.
Thank you, Phil. Yeah, thank you for making time and having me here to discuss about this very critical project. As Phil mentioned, I am from Michael Baker International. I know the name says International, but our offices are in Chicago. International just sounds nice, I figured. I'd like to acknowledge, again, my colleagues from CMAP and from AECOM that made this project possible.
and also for the village for applying and taking part in this project. It is quite critical and allows for good planning level information that hopefully saves the village money. The overall program goals include primarily to facilitate and to encourage participant agencies to efficiently use resources. It promotes pavement preservation. Usually preservation activities are known and have been documented to save resources. So if we intervene early on before conditions deteriorate, that has been correlated for every $1 that is spent on preservation activities, agencies could save up to $10 in replacement activities later on in the life of these assets. And so it's, this program promotes the use of preservation activities. It facilitated for the implementation of a software program called Paver for the village that was paid for as part of this project. This is an application that promotes objective and data-driven decision-making for identifying which roads to work on and what types of road maintenance applications to apply. There was a comprehensive data collection activity that was performed to determine the conditions, which I'll talk about a little bit later. And finally, there was an assessment done to determine the impact of the village's current funding amounts, and we've taken a look at different types of funding levels and see what the impact of those would be. Before I dive in too deep into the results, I just wanted to discuss the benefits of pavement management. As I've mentioned it earlier, it is to promote the objective decision making when it comes to which roads to treat and what types of activities to apply. There is an official definition of pavement management and asset management put forth by AASHTO. AASHTO is the American Association for State Highway and Transportation Officials. The definition goes, it says it's a strategic and systematic process of operating and maintaining, upgrading and expanding physical assets, in this case pavements. But it's essentially an optimization process by which we try to minimize the cost of life cycle ownership and maintain condition, or hopefully improve the condition of the pavement assets. And the graphic that you see on the right shows that the typical life cycle or how the condition changes of a pavement throughout its life. And if we are to intervene early on to do preventative maintenance, we save quite a bit of money throughout the life cycle of the roadway pavement. There was a comprehensive data collection activity that we undertook as part of this project. Maybe some of y'all might remember the van driving around the village last October. This vehicle is called, we call it ATLAS for short, but it's the Advanced Transportation Linear Inspection System. It's quite a mouthful, that's why we just call it the ATLAS. It has a number of different lasers and cameras and sensors.
Looks like somebody's tornado.
Yeah. And it allows us to capture objective information at traffic speeds. This is the same type of technology or equipment that, let's say, Illinois DOT or the tollway or other agencies that are federally mandated, for example, to report the roadway conditions to federal highways. This is the type of equipment that they would use. So the program that CMAP has in place makes sure that participant agencies like the village are able to get data from objective sources of data collection activities, and it's not subjective. It's not someone walking around with a clipboard saying, okay, this is fair, good, and poor, and so forth. It's quite objective. When it comes to data processing, so this equipment captures 3D scan of the roadway pavement. We process that data to determine or to create these continuous pictures of the roadway pavement from 3D scans. And then we process that to identify all of the cracking, potholes, anything that might be on the surface of the pavement is identified, and the last step would be to classify it. There is an ASTM standard that we follow that CMAP also requires us to follow as part of these projects. So that is just to standardize what the condition might be, so that we can, there is a score that is associated with each roadway segment, and the score is made up of the types, severities, and quantities of these specific distresses according to to the manual. So we go through that to determine the condition for each roadway segment within the village. It's a little bit cut out here towards the bottom, but this gives you a snapshot of the results from the data collection activity we performed last October. I guess the screen isn't optimized, but the network area, so the average condition of the roadway within the village is 62.9, and that falls right in the fair condition category. So this is an average, right? There will be some roads that will be in good condition and some roads that would be in not so good condition, and this is just the area weighted average that accounts for the size of each, the area of each street segment. There is a table that was included that describes the percentage of each of the roads that fall into each condition category. The standard includes a number of condition categories, starting from good all the way to failed. And so when we say failed here, I don't think there would be any that were failed in the village, but this isn't like a structural failure. This would be failure from the perspective of surface observations, because this vehicle is capturing surface data, not subsurface data. To give you an idea of what good and fair and poor look like, we have captured some imagery and displayed in this presentation based on the condition category. So the first image that you'll see corresponds with what a road in good condition might be. The PCI is 100. This is a relatively new street, and it is on Wendt between Hilton and King. When the data was captured last time around, the PCI was 100, so it was in pretty good condition. The second one would have been satisfactory. It's cut out a little bit, I can't see. But that would start experiencing some cracking, but it's still satisfactory. It's early on into the condition of this pavement where preservation activities would go a long way into preserving this type of roadway. Next we have Fair. This is Michigan Avenue between Water and First Street, PCI of 61. At this point we start to see some cracking that could be associated with structural issues, right? Wheel path cracking at low severity levels, we start observing them. So more and more cracking are observed of different categories. Next to that would be Park Street between King and Aldous. And so this had a PCI of 44. PCI is, by the way, the pavement condition index. That's the name of the score, and it goes from 0 to 100. So at 44, that road or the segment of that roadway would be considered to be in poor condition. There would be significant wheel path alligator style cracking that shows that there's multiple traffic that has gone down that roadway and the roadway is deteriorating. And at this point, we're looking at needing some more substantial maintenance activity to bring this back up to acceptable or good conditions. Next one is Bannock. This one, or Scott between Bannock and Balmoral. PCI of 32, very poor, just furthermore cracking, particularly on the structural side. So whenever we see cracking that looks like alligator, we call it alligator cracking. That means there is high likelihood that there's structural capacity issues because of repetition and traffic that the roads would have been experiencing. So at this condition category, the amount of the amount of structural damage is quite high at 32, and the next one is serious condition category on River Street between Johnson and Main, and just further deterioration of the roadway. So we've included these pictures because when we talk about good, fair, and poor, tends to seem subjective. Even when we say the scores, 150, 80. It might appear that it's subjective, but the images will give you a good idea on what we're talking about when we say fair or poor or very poor and so forth. And these were pictures that were captured as part of the data collection activity when we were here in October 2025. There were a number of analyses that we performed, so all of that data gets captured, processed, we put it into the Paver software program that allows us to analyze the impact of different budget funding levels, essentially. We can analyze the impact of different funding levels, but we can also determine the funding levels needed based on the objective. If we want the average to be 100 or a 90 or whatever the case might be, based on those targets, we can determine the condition or the funding level needed. As part of this program, there were a number of these analyses that we performed. Caleb, is it okay if I get out of presentation mode so we can see the whole thing? Okay.
And you can, yeah.
Let's get a little bit smaller. I'm going to focus on the table since that includes all of the information that you would want to see. There were 5 condition scenarios or 5 funding scenarios that we've analyzed as part of this project. From top going down, the first one is assuming no funding was available. These were 10-year scenarios that we analyzed. First one was if no funding was available. The next one is the current level or the anticipated current level of funding that the village has for roadway maintenance. The third one is the analysis to determine the funding amount needed to maintain the condition during the last survey. And then the fourth was to hit a target of 70. 70 is that threshold between fair and satisfactory. So we figured 70 is the lowest score you can have to be satisfactory. So we analyzed what it would take to get to 70. And finally, we analyzed the funding levels needed to eliminate the backlog. Backlog is work that should be done but isn't done because there are competing priorities and you're not able to do everything that needs to be done. So you prioritize. So in the final scenario analysis, we're assuming in 10 years, if we were to eliminate the backlog, how much would we need to invest on an annual basis for 10 years to get to that point?
Question
Yeah,
about
of
that,
course,
though?
please, yes.
Because is that the backlog that exists today, or is that taking into account future problems? Because a lot of these roads that are fair or good right now are gonna end up being poor in 10 years.
Yep, great question. So that paver software allows us to put in a deterioration model that predicts how the roadway will deteriorate over the 10-year period. So yes, we are taking into account future.
Okay, so the forecast is 23 is 93.9.
Yep. So this includes prediction of future condition as well as inflation. Now, when we took on this project, we didn't know that the cost of asphalt was going to go up the way it has recently because of oil and crude oil and all those. So that was not included in this because that was not very easy to forecast. But short of that, we're taking into account how the roadway will deteriorate and nominal inflation
I have another question
considerations.
too. Does the model assume just straight up resurfacing? It doesn't contemplate like strip patching or things like that, other mitigation strategies?
It includes replacement as well as preservation. So it includes regular maintenance, which would be like crack sealing, pothole filling, things like that. It includes different types of rehabilitation, so thin overlays, thick overlays, as well as full replacement. But it also puts an emphasis on preservation, because that's where you get the biggest bang for your buck.
Okay, thank
So
you.
it includes all of those. Just to go through the results very quickly, at do nothing, meaning you have no budget to do any significant maintenance activities. The village might still continue to crack seal and do emergency repairs, but nothing more significant than that. So in 10 years, we can expect the condition to go from 62.9 to 38.7. So a significant drop, but it's not going to go to zero, but it'll drop quite a bit. That's an unrealistic scenario, but it gives you an idea on what to expect if no funding is available. At the current budget, which we anticipate to be about $600,000 per year over the next 10 years, the condition goes up a little. It goes to 66.5. It's still within the factor of error, so to speak. So we can assume that you're maintaining the current condition, and certainly we don't expect the condition to drop. The next analysis we performed was, what would be the budget to maintain the current condition at 62.9. We got as close to it as possible at 63.1. That's about $500,000 per year. So if we were to fund it at $500,000 per year over the next 10 years, we can expect the condition, to be where it is when we inspected it last October. Again, keep in mind material costs have changed since we did this, based on other reasons. The next one was 70, hitting an average condition of 70. 70 is the threshold by which you would be in that satisfactory range if the average condition is 70. We would need to invest about $780,000 per year to get to this condition category. And finally, that elimination of backlog, meaning at the end of 10 years, all of the work that should be done would be done, no backlog. We need to spend about $1.5 million per year. Again, that's also an unrealistic scenario, but it gives you an idea on, okay, what does it cost to do everything, essentially? And that is about $1.5 million per year. Any questions?
Well, you mentioned how we can save future dollars you doing preventative maintenance. Are there things that we could be doing that, I mean, do you know what we have been doing? Are we doing the right thing? Should we be doing different things? What should we be doing?
Well, given that the current budget, maintains the
No, I know
current
that, but I
condition.
guess I mean more techniques.
Yes, and I will, so a full list of recommendations or the outputs of all of these scenarios will be put into a report and submitted to Public Works. That report will include details in terms of the maintenance types to consider, including these preservation activities, and the results for each of these scenarios in terms of, there will be an output per year, okay, do this street from this to this on an annual basis for all of these scenarios that we would have analyzed. So the village will have a copy of that report, and the final work plan, I'm sure, will consider, the results of these when selecting streets, moving forward.
Phil, can you remind me again what roads we're doing this year? Barrington, I know.
Yeah, so we have Barrington Avenue, essentially between Van Buren and 68. We have 2nd Street, north of the bike trail. We have Adams between 2nd and King William. We have 4th Street, which is a relatively short block between River and Van Buren. We have Railroad Street between River and Van Buren. 4th Street is between Railroad and Hill, and Hines Drive between Commonwealth and Rock Road Drive.
Okay, so a few of these, Barrington for sure, were budgeted last year to be done. They didn't get done.
Correct.
So we're using last year's budget dollars this year. Is that what our $600,000 is? Is it based on 2-year budget, or is $600,000 our normal budget? So this year we're actually spending more than that.
So we essentially took what we did not spend last year and rebudgeted for it,
Correct.
budgeted for it this year.
So I guess what I'm asking though is, what is our budget this year?
I want to say the SIP for this year was 560 range. So we're in that $500,000 to $600,000.
But that's
Now,
for 2 years.
Well, that's just for, correct. And that's just for the SIP. So Barrington Avenue is a separate,
Okay.
although we won't have, our out-of-pocket expenditure for Barrington Avenue is, if all falls into place nicely as we're projecting it will, our out-of-pocket would be approximately $20,000 because of the Surface Transportation Program funds, and then we received an IDOT grant to the tune of about approximately $117,000.
Okay.
So that
But
budget-
I guess what I'm trying to get at is that when it says here $600,000, our current budget will get us to 66.5 in 10 years. It's our current budget because we have added dollars. That's not our normal current. It's not our normal budgeted dollar amount that we usually spend on our road maintenance.
If you take away last year and this year's situation, prior to that, we were trying to stay close to 500,000 per year in recent years.
All right.
That was kind of our target-ish goal
Yeah.
each year is to stay. And again, last year and this year is a little bit of a
Yes.
unique situation.
Understood. Okay.
And I will add, each year we have performed pavement patching. Last year we did some crack sealing, crack filling. And I'd like to recommend that we, at some point, staff and we'll work on maintaining a relationship with the consultant team that's here this evening to implement a lot of what's being recommended and presented this evening, and will come out in the final report. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Prior
Phil?
Prior to this, kind of, because this clearly says which road needs it quicker than the next one, right? Prior to this, we just did what, like assessment every year, or was there dates when a road would be put up
It
for?
was a combination of initiatives. We looked at, Heinz and Associates had put together a number of years ago something similar, a condition rating survey. And so we worked off that. More recently, we're looking at some of our worst roads, quite honestly, are in areas where we have a high number of lead service lines. So we're intentionally holding off on those road improvements until we
Yeah, dig it up once, yeah.
correct. So some of our surrounding communities are cutting into roads that don't need improvement.
So like the lead of the question was, I guess I'm gonna get to here, is this very useful for picking the roads in the future? So that we're obviously not replacing roads that got 2 years left. And then
Correct.
getting the roads that need it now done, so.
Correct, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. And then I found it pretty interesting with the funding that there's not a huge significant change in total and backlog, which is kind of neat that we're hitting kind of like a good budget already. Obviously, we'd have to add that little bit more to it because we're not on the exact 600, but that felt good, you know, when I read it, that we already had a plan that was working really good, so that was it. So.
A few more slides. And the next few slides just give you a bit more information for each of the scenarios that we've analyzed. They give you in a color-coded way how the condition is expected to change for the entire network over the 10-year period. There's also funding levels, a chart that shows funding levels and miles that we're treating per year. And there is a map included in here that shows in a color-coded way which roads will be treated in which year. So this information will be included in the final report so that you're able to look at it in more detail. If there is any, well, I can, instead of talking about all of these, you know, one by one in the interest of time, if we look at the eliminate backlog, for example, you can clearly see how the greens would be those in good condition, how that changes over the 10-year period. And this is just to signify that you know, the budget is optimized to reach the target at the end of the 10-year period. So it's not going to be, you know, all in year one or in year two. And you can also see the way, you know, the number of miles treated peaks in the first couple of years, and it sort of stabilizes, you know, moving forward. So the way the plans were analyzed, it's so that we can stabilize it as quickly as possible. And finally, there is another plan that we analyzed. This would be based on the data that was captured in October in 2025. You know, what are the things that could immediately be done to get the biggest bang? You know, this isn't repaving streets. These would be preventative maintenance type of activities like crack sealing, pothole filling, those types of things that could be done immediately or in a very short period of time that can you know, give the biggest result as possible. And we've identified work in the amount of about $116,000. This includes different types of patching and crack sealing, and that has been identified in the map here as well as the table, and more details of that will be included in the report. So this would be, you know, go to these streets based on the distresses and the cracking that we saw. If they were to be addressed immediately or within a 12-month period, we can see some significant improvement. So those have been identified and included.
Could I ask one more question?
Yes?
Is there, generally speaking, a value to doing more in a given year based on the fact that if I do 1 mile of road, it might cost $100,000. I know it costs a lot more than that, but just for the sake of easy numbers. Whereas if I do 2 miles of road, maybe it's not $200,000, maybe it's only $190,000. Does it work that way?
Yes, that's, you know, one way to look at it, to minimize mobilization costs for the contractor, to be able to aggregate projects close to each other and be able to do more. You know, another way to look at it, and you know, the big objective of these types of projects is to focus on preservation. There is, it's not very special, but you know, people want to fix things that are broken, right? So if there's a poor street, you hear a lot more complaints for folks that drive on that street, and that tends to get the attention, and that gets fixed. And it should be, but it takes a lot more money to fix a bad road to bring it up to good condition, rather than doing preservation activities on good roads and avoiding them to become poor. It just takes a lot less money to maintain a good road in good condition. So the objective here is, now how can we split the dollar amount so that we're avoiding good roads turning to bad, but also budgeting enough to address the bad roads to bring them up into good. So, you know, unless you have a blank check, you're not gonna do everything, but this allows a better, you know, data-driven prioritization so that both of these could be addressed, you know, as best as possible.
Okay.
And then the data in the report that you're sharing with the village, is it GIS data that they can have in there?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
great.
That was a requirement by CMAP, that everything is GIS enabled. All of the data will be turned over. This includes the imagery that we've turned over to the village through a viewer that the village has access to. If y'all want, feel you can, you know, we can definitely arrange for access.
Yes, thank you. Can you also mention recommendation for how do we want to update this?
Oh, yes.
Example.
Yep.
Does that come up here?
Yep, that's the last slide. So, you know, the three recommendations overall that we have is, you know, first one is to maintain this pavement management system, PAVER. You know, these types of applications or programs or systems, they're as useful as, you know, as they are updated. If it is not updated, if more current data is not put in there, then the recommendations are not going to be as accurate. So the first recommendation is just maintain this payment management system that has been implemented now. The second one is capturing objective data, the way that CMAP has required us to do this time around. And that should be done about every 3 years. It doesn't need to be done every year. It is not a cheap thing to do, but about every 3 years, getting this objective fresh set of data to put into that pavement management system goes a long way. And it pays for itself because it allows you to prioritize which roads to work on and which can be pushed a little bit further down. And the third one, you know, I've said that a few times already, is to prioritize pavement preservation. It's just cheaper to keep good roads in good condition, and that doesn't always go well because usually we want to fix the worst first. But thinking differently and seeing, okay, how can we avoid the good ones from going bad is something that we recommended. It's something that is recommended industry-wide, and it's been well documented to be the right thing to do. And that is the last slide. Are there any questions? I'd love to answer.
I have a question.
Sure.
On your localized maintenance recommendations, it says about 116,000. Is there a time frame on these recommendations? Because it seems to me if you add 116,000 on top of our current budget, we're almost at the backlog amount. So, but this is more preventative.
Yes.
And that's backlog. That also includes preventative, or
The-
no?
The elimination of backlog, all of those, not including this, they consider both repaving type activities and preventive activities. So different levels of both of them are included in both. For this one, the way to look at it is, this is, which roads, based on the data that was captured, which roads can I go crack fill and patch? If we wait more than 12 months, the condition would have changed. So that crack that could have been filled with regular crack filling operations, maybe some portion of that now needs to be patched. So these recommendations hold true for the next 12 months in reality. If it is beyond that, then it's not accurate.
So maybe looking at this instead of adding it on the budget, including it in the budget, that's what's already budgeted.
Yeah, and it could be something the village can take into consideration when selecting, which roads, by considering all of the results, and it just helps prioritize what to do and when to do it. Okay,
I'm good.
great.
Thank
Well,
you very
thank you for your
much.
time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have one thing. It's been great working with both AECom and Michael Baker International and also CMAP, and just want to again thank you all for all you've done to help put this plan together and collect the data and get us to where we are. So thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, that brings us to item B, discussion and direction regarding the depot park, improvements and redevelopment, village owned property.
All right, so Caleb and I are going to provide a brief presentation, sort of going over what we're going to talk about tonight. And Caleb, would you mind doing the buttons? And so I'll do the first part and he'll do the second. But we wanted to first talk about next steps for the lumberyard because, as you're aware, the one RFP that we received from Sitewell, the developer, notified us recently that they were not able to move forward with the project because of current economic conditions, mostly related to construction costs, tariffs, geopolitical activities, et cetera, nothing new we haven't heard before. It's just a very challenging environment right now to build anything. It's very expensive. Interest rates, too, on top of that, make it extremely difficult. But I think that we should also, well, how would I want to say this? I appreciate that the developer was honest with us and, gave us work product and gave us a vision and gave us something to envision and work towards. And it's unfortunate and disappointing that it's not going to come to fruition, but I do think that this whole space is really incredibly viable and has a lot of great attributes to it that maybe it's not going to sequence out exactly as we had initially hoped, but I still think that the whole vision can be realized in phases. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about tonight. Mostly talking about street improvements, which include conversion of Meyer Street to a two-way, closing off Railroad, implementing the soundstage, and then what to do with the actual lumberyard itself. So go to the next one. So, great news. Performing Arts Center is unimpacted by this decision. Richard from the Rouse Center is here tonight. Appreciate you coming. He's been having quite a few meetings with us just to make sure that we're all aligned, still on the same page. We love this project. We think it's going to be so meaningful to the downtown. He says the same thing. He also has a potential name, which I'm not going to disclose. I'm going to wait for him to do that, but it was very exciting to hear it today.
Thanks for sharing it.
It's in the vault. Richard gets to be the one to share that. So what staff's recommending here is issuing an RFP for a design-build process, exactly the same as what we used for the parking garage. We had great success with that process. We got a good construction management team, and they delivered the building on time and on budget and with high-quality construction. So we have confidence that if we issued an RFP, working with RAU to hash out what the scope would be, put that out, get bids, and then award bids, that we could move forward with the Performing Arts Center unobstructed by other complications that arose because of bundling it with the previous project as the entirety of the mixed-use portion of the lumberyard redevelopment. So funding for this project is unchanged. We were always intending to bond for the entire project with the Art Center covering the full bond payments annually until the 20-year bond was up, at which point they would own the Performing Arts Center. So the only staff contribution or village contribution to this would be staff time to oversee the project. And we anticipate that our Performing Arts Center partners would determine what the best timing is. Now that we don't have to go on the developer's timeline, we can go on the PAC's timeline, which gives them a little bit more ability to control when we put a shovel in the ground. So, the next one. Street improvements. Joe Hines has developed this drawing for the portion of Meyer Street from Barrington to Railroad. The street is already ready and able to be converted to a two-way with minimal changes. So it would just involve restriping and a little bit of pavement movement. So this is something that we could easily accomplish if we wanted to do this in the very near future.
Is it two-way or is it one-way?
It's one-way right now, they want to convert it to two-way.
What are the red cross hatch on the?
It's just showing the new, where the new lines would be.
The black is the new and the red is the deleted.
Right.
No, red is new. Up top, you're looking at Tequila Valves and Diamond Gyms and those up there, right?
North is to the right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all gonna be like.
Yeah, so all the restaurants are up top, the park is in the, bottom.
And why? Why do we wanna make it two-way?
So the general consensus about this was we had a lot of discussion last year about, does it make sense? What makes the most sense in terms of the overall redevelopment of the downtown, taking the whole space holistically? Because we had talked about potentially vacating Railroad between Third and Meyer so that the lumberyard redevelopment could span the entire length of that road. And it would basically cover it and you wouldn't be able to get through anymore by Tequila Valves. So that was one option. So you could make a larger development. When that was looked at in the totality of the downtown, it was determined that that was probably not the best way to go because the circular traffic movement was the most ideal. And so eliminating the one-way, converting it to a two-way was like the recommended course of action for like the best ease of access both in and out and reducing traffic congestion. So I think that, generally it makes a lot of sense. And it makes the most sense if we do it in conjunction with the closure of Railroad between between Meyer and River. So you just create the ecosystem that optimizes vehicular traffic flow while also prioritizing pedestrian traffic flow along the bike trail, which gets elimination of one point of potential interaction with cars. So any reduction there is nice and welcome. So basically looking at street improvements and trying to bundle them into one nice package. We're also looking at converting the parking lot south of this portion of Meyer into a real street and putting in the same angled parking and then the closure of Railroad. So in tandem with all of this, what do we do about the lumberyard to move forward? Right now, it's contemplated that the Performing Arts Center would just take up the lower 1/4 of the whole entire property. So we could issue an RFP to demolish some of the structures on the site and then make, remove the fence and make the whole area like site ready to build, and then grass over anything that's not part of the performing arts construction, and then put a nice for sale sign on it, or you can envision, or just basically keep it nice. People can use it, it can be accessed, but it's not, going to be redeveloped anytime soon. It's going to be ready to go whenever we can get somebody. Yes, shovel ready, exactly.
Have we already done the phase 1 and phase 2 on all this stuff?
Yes,
And we're pretty good.
we are.
So we wanna put it in the south end just to keep it same as the other design. I mean, it's kinda closer to the parking garage, but is that what we want?
It is closer to the parking garage, and it does sort of make the easiest access point for like the way that if we put it on the other end or in the middle, it wouldn't make sense in the middle.
Right.
If we put it on the other end, we'd have to contemplate removing the green building at this point. It's not.
Plus, I think if it's on the other end, you have that void in the middle, which is more welcoming
Yeah.
than just like kind of like nothing at the end.
Right.
So it kind of looks like it needs to be filled up, so
Right.
hopefully it would attract
Yeah,
more.
I like that. That makes sense. too.
Yeah.
So first option, staff's recommended option, is that for the remainder of the year, we design the street improvements, the 3 that we just identified. And then get ready to issue an RFP for the sound stage, street improvements, and the demolition of the site structures. So this contemplates moving this implementation of the sound stage from this fall to next spring, which was originally targeted for this fall. Then next year, we would construct those street improvements and then do the soundstage installation at the same time. We tweaked how we might want to do this phasing to see if we did do the soundstage this year, how much of its use would be impacted next year by construction of roads. And it wasn't a lot, but it's also hard to implement a soundstage and then next year tear up all the roads around it. So that was sort of the thinking behind it. The other thinking behind it is that there's been a lot of discussion about the soundstage, and we're going to talk about it in a few slides, and the desire to really get it right and make sure that it fits and that it's in scale and that it's exactly what we want. And in order to meet the aggressive timeline of building it this fall, we would have to get to a finalized design extremely quickly, which I'm not quite sure we're there yet. So then we would issue the RFP and select a contractor for the Performing Arts Center in 27. Construction would be 18 months-ish, with the potential opening of the PAC in 2029, which aligns well with Rob's goals. Next one. Option B, if we still thought we really need to make sure we get that soundstage up this fall, we could still do that, still design the street improvements, and then construct them next year. The street improvements, while substantially improving all of downtown, aren't going to take 6 months. I think they're going to take far less than that, maybe 2 months, 2 to 3 months at most. So we can really get a lot done in a short amount of time if we queue it up all to start in the spring and issue all those RFPs, do all those awards, and get a contractor ready to mobilize as soon as the weather breaks in March. Same timeline here for the construction of the PAC. And then last slide is, we could just do the soundstage, save everything else for potential new issuance of the same RFP, see if we get somebody else to do the project, and then we can just close Railroad Street next year and wait on the rest. So those are sort of the 3 options that staff has put our collective minds together to come up with for Plan B as we've pivoted away from the redevelopment from the RFP proposal. And then I think I only have one last slide, which is if we do go with option A, I'd really like to get a rendering of the entire site. So to get a scaled rendering with the soundstage so we can see how it fits in with the buildings around it, what the lumberyard would look like with the Performing Arts Center sort of taking up the scale we think it's going to take up, removing all the other buildings on the site so that we can actually get a really good contextual image of what we're proposing and how it's going to look. And the other thing is, for the closure of Railroad, we'd like to get 2 quotes. One for doing the vision of what White and Company prepared, which is the pavers, and then another like lower cost option to just temporary grass it with curbing until we get a larger budget to complete sort of the remaining vision of the project. So just giving us some runway in case any of this is not able to be budgeted.
If we do like the green space in the middle, kind of sets us up pretty good if we do that building at some point too, right?
Mhm.
Because we'd have to probably pull out all those pavers if we did the building.
I would say,
Possibly.
yeah, possibly. We would, draft that to say if we were going to do the building, make it so that the pavers would be least disrupted as possible, but it'd still be disrupted. So
Could we do A and also part of C, like A and then this year reissue an RFP for the lumberyard redevelopment? We treat the art center separately from the rest of the development.
I would say we could do that from a staffing resource standpoint after. So maybe once we issue the RFPs for all of the things that we've just described, reissue the RFP for the smaller commercial redevelopment next summer after we've gotten sort of all of those things pieced out.
Kind of neat part though is once that barn's gone and you have the plans for the theater, I almost feel like people are going to come to want to build that center part.
Yeah.
Like there's not going to be the hiccups in the way of ripping down a barn or having different parts involved. Like the art center's coming, that was a moving part for that project that probably made it a little more difficult than if it wasn't there. So it's going to be interesting to see the value of that property once it's kind of ready to go.
Yeah, I
So
do.
we can burn the barn down and watch it.
You're the fair.
You didn't like that, Mark?
All right, so before we get into too much discussion, I want Caleb to be able to share with you the next steps on the soundstage so that can inform sort of whether we really push towards trying to construct the soundstage this fall or push it to next spring.
Right. Hey, everyone. Yeah, so wanted to give the board an update on where we are with the soundstage. So what you're seeing right here is the latest renders of the band shell. We got the front view, rear view, and then the high angle view. This is obviously does not include the sound panels that would be in the back. This is really just to give the board exactly the final design of what the band shell itself would look like. So a cost comparison between the cost we had in December based to the cost we have now. Obviously, there was a significant increase. Largely, those are due to I'll go to the next slide. The extending of the roof. Basically, we went from a 40 by 50 size, which that's still the same stage size, but now it's a 50 by 50, including the extended roof. So that a lot more time and materials are being added to the quote because of just the latest designs, all the decorative elements, all the train depot concepts that were incorporated, the mesh underneath the roof, going from mesh leg posts to solid leg posts, as we were working through the design process, we just added our time and materials. And also the added technical features as the conversations continued with the lighting, sound, the soundproofing, some of those elements are now in the quote as well. And then we added 2 extra screen walls on the sides, so we still have the 3 in the center, still in the same triangle formation, and then we have 2 on the sides and like the back sides there. So as Erica kind of touched on, so if the board decided to construct the soundstage next year, the village, we could, still use funds that were budgeted this year to purchase the band shell this year as an effort to avoid the inflation costs. We wouldn't have to move at a quick speed to do that. Like now, we could still work on the final design, make sure we get exactly what we want, and then proceed with a purchase later this year just to avoid those inflation costs. And then White & Company could still finalize the bid documents, and then we could sit on them until whenever we wanted to take it out to bid. Public Works would still work on the electric and water lines that are below. So we would still be working on that at the same time as we were finalizing the designs. And then White & Company would recommend a fall bid if we did want to construct next year. Spring construction would be recommended just as a way to get the most competitive prices in November. So that would be if the board decided to push the soundstage into 2027. And then, yeah, that's kind of just a high level, but I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
How did the site furnishings go up $900,000?
To what I referenced, it was basically we took the concept that was originally given to us, which was a very basic concept that the manufacturer had, and that's what the original quote was based off of, and then we customized it. This is with all of our customizations.
Just like adding the roof a little wider.
Correct, yeah, we added things to the leg posts, to the roof, we extended the roof, added things underneath the roof, added the signage, the Depot Park signage up at the front, and then the technical elements. Now, one thing to note, because it's just really small here, the cost documents are in the packet, do reflect a 50 by 58 size. There was a version of where we were contemplating some additional, like more extending of the roof in the rear, but so that has been taken out, but the costs still reflect that. So this 1,738 and 600, that would go down slightly to a 50 by 50 structure.
Caleb, the internal footprint between the posts, Was there like a driving factor for that dimension? Like, is there like an industry standard for what is used for theater? Or was it really just like kind of an envision and then a number was matched to the envision?
I think it's more of the latter. Basically, the size that is depicted here has been consistent throughout our whole process with whites. When we initially entered into an agreement with them, that was, through my understanding, based on, you know, we said we wanted a soundstage chair. They gave us what would fit. And, you know, I've been out there personally and measured it myself, did like the eyeball test. It is large. It's really like about 4 or 5 feet to the trail. I mean, to give you some context, if you could picture the depot, it's really just a couple feet extended from where the depot is.
So,
Yeah.
and the reason I was asking it is because like we went bigger with the roof, right? I had concerns, and I think possibly a couple others. Is there a way to keep the overall footprint at the original size and bring the columns in and then make the stage size a little smaller to get us closer to our budget?
Yeah, so if I'm hearing you correctly, just basically taking what we've come up with and just making it smaller proportionally.
So it hit the original size, if that, but we have the Rouse Center here, so I want your input to be like, hey, if we were planning for that footprint for some reason, be a good time to bring it up.
I think initially, just to chime in, I think it was in consideration to have orchestra or larger format bands that are symphony. So
Okay.
we had talked to Elgin Symphony, and that was the original.
That was the idea behind it. Got it.
Yeah, I forgot to mention this too, in my other consideration was potentially having Public Works put some poles or stakes in the ground so we can envision it on the ground, on the lawn itself, so we can like get a
Yeah.
visual of how much space it's gonna take up. So
That's
that
a
was
good
one of the
idea.
other things that might be helpful for us.
If we are taking comments on the final or new design, you know, a couple things that I thought. One was, I really think that adding brick feet to these steel I-beams that come out of the floor, you know, 3 feet high, 2 feet high, whatever, is gonna be, I understand it's gonna add more cost, but I think that the value you're getting on that aesthetically would be huge versus what cost that would be. It'd be nice to at least know. And the other thing is on the design of the stage itself, I noted that there was a huge staircase on the front of the stage, and I'm just wondering if that's really what we want. That seems weird to me.
One thing to add to that, I did talk to the consultants today, and that is not a requirement. So if the board did decide to take the stairs out, the thinking there is for functionality, not just for theatrical performances or concert performances, but graduations, you know, weddings. I don't know how many weddings we would have, but I know there's been some in the area. The other events,
Yeah.
the staircase would be part of that as well.
It's just really easy access for people
Mhm.
that want to ruin a performance by jumping on the stage. It seems, I've never seen it. I mean, honestly, to be honest, like, I don't feel like I've ever seen a stage that had that, like, staircases walking right up to the stage.
Yeah.
Seems weird.
I've seen it.
Southampton has, that's how they have their stage set up.
Okay.
Similar, it actually has that, yeah.
Alright.
That was designed by Walter Powell.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
We-
Well, it
we-
just seems weird to me.
Yeah, we could look at it further. I mean, that, taking that out would probably
I mean, that's
reduce
minor
costs, so,
cost,
yeah.
Caleb, I got a kind of an engineering question that you're
Sure.
probably gonna have to refer. I remember when they said that these footings were gonna be 7 foot in diameter.
Yep.
And then I was thinking about it, I was like, is there a way to compensate that 7 foot, but drive them deeper? If that makes sense, like, there's different, cause then we can actually make it where the overhangs don't have to be so big. And obviously the columns kind of shrink the stage. We wanna keep it looking, you know, I feel like it has like a good feel to it right now, and if we start to kind of shrink it, it almost like top hats again, you know, from like a visual point. But I didn't know if there was a way to like use caissons and go to, you know, like a 36-inch, you know, footing for the columns rather than a 7 foot. what the cost difference would be, whatever, so that we didn't have to hit that 7 foot wide or whatever.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, less diameter, but to drive deeper.
Yeah,
First would be like- yeah.
it's a complete engineering
Yeah.
question, like they have to run their calcs
Yeah.
on it. So
We can ask.
You're an engineer.
I'm a structural engineer, but I think it makes sense. But the diameter is what spreads out the weight, so going deeper won't help until you start getting side friction, then like deep pylons.
Yeah.
You're probably using typical sole mooring capacity, figuring out the side,
just like going past the frost line essentially.
and then just waiting by everything on this one.
Okay. So it'd be probably substantially
It would be
more
smaller if
expensive.
you added piers, but, you know, you just have to spread that weight over.
So are we talking
Understood.
about the diameter of the footing for the steel I-beams that come
Yeah.
out of the ground?
Mhm.
They're going to be in a 50-foot by 50-foot concrete base stage, are they not? Isn't this a stage all concrete?
Yes, concrete on the floor.
It seems like that's a lot of
There'll
reinforcement.
still be footings underneath, won't there? Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not the engineer. When
We
it
can
comes to
ask.
that stuff, there's like actual, they have to do their calcs, but I didn't know if that was an option to try to, I'm just looking at budget wise, like, obviously, I don't, my biggest concern is we live in a place that has the freeze thaw cycle, and then people salt it for safety, and all of a sudden, all of our iron columns are all rotten, and the concrete's chipping up, and just doesn't seem like a good idea.
We can definitely ask.
So going back to the options A, B, and C, B and C say, you can put it up in the fall. What kind of timeline is that though? Is that getting into the winter to where we wouldn't use it till next year anyway?
So if the board wanted to move forward with the soundstage and construct it this fall, we would have to hit some significant and quick timeline. Another thing to keep in mind is the band shell. It's a 16-week, 4-month lead time. So we were advised by White, and staff is currently reviewing the possibility of purchasing the band shell earlier to start, because you need a signed purchase order to start that time. So that would be one item to consider. And then we would need to take this out to bid, to commence construction in October. We would need to take this out to bid mid-June.
I feel like personally, we don't need to rush into this. I don't see why. We haven't had the soundstage for a long time.
And we already have a budgeted for renting one. To me, I'm thinking the same as you. We waited.
I'm a big fan of A.
I like A, and then if we can,
I like
If we could
Eric's idea of ordering it this year. At least get that in motion, and then constructing it in the spring.
Now, when we order, it's gonna have like shop drawings, just like millwork or something, I would guess, right? Because this isn't pre-manufactured somewhere, like they have to build it,
So, correct.
So we'd have
And-
a chance to tweak something at that point.
Yeah, so what would happen next, we would still work with White. We're up just a little over 50% of our contractual obligations finance-wise with White's for phase 2. So we would continue making sure we get a final design that the board is happy with. And then, if we would try to target a fall November bid, which would still put us on target for a spring early construction. And that would give us a little bit more time to kind of go the pace we need to get the final design, start with working with the manufacturer through White to purchase that when we were happy with it, and then, and then we'll be ready to bid in the fall.
Perfect. So,
Andy, you good with A?
Yeah, I like A. I like the idea of keeping it a size that could be an orchestra. I think that adds a lot, but kind of also on board with any way to reduce costs where we can, or reduce like rust starting at the footings.
The nice part though about Scott's idea of having the pavers wrapped around in an elevated concrete is you just lifted that salting point 2 feet, so they wouldn't,
Yeah.
you wouldn't have the same issue. So it kind of brings in another idea of that will never be exposed to the salt. So,
Preventative.
which is kind of cool, you know. So
Yeah.
Well, now we would have more time to do these designs
Yeah.
and talk about it.
Yeah, and that is actually something that could always be added 2 years from now, to be honest
Yep.
with you, if it's just
Yeah.
gonna go on
So,
top of the
all
concrete. If we did like a brick enclosure, the bottom of the steel
Right.
beam, that could be added at a later date. It doesn't have to be built into it right away.
And
Because
that's
it's
the
just
right
aesthetic.
size for you guys, the stage? It's not too big for you?
Well, I think it's always easier to close it from the stage perspective,
Right.
drape and pipe and kind of narrowing it, but you can't go wider.
I'm just wondering, are we getting too big with it?
What is the stage that we rent normally?
So I have that answer. It's a 32 by 24, but that is it's not for theatrical performances, it's for concerts.
With
So-
Elgin Symphony Orchestra. I'm gonna bid on that.
Yeah.
and then
That's, okay.
I need to see it, like I need a 3D, like
Yeah,
I need to
that
visually
sounds like
to
it's
see it in
big.
space, sort of.
Yeah, rendering with like
Yeah,
people on it, and that would be pretty helpful to see it.
and a view from like.
Yeah.
But I
like
think
the
we're all
17th
still on
century.
board though for the A, but can we see some sort of scale out there, like we were talking about, and then we can make adjustments if we want to
Like
go
a
smaller, we can
hologram?
go smaller.
Yeah. White is working on those scale renders.
Awesome.
We just haven't been able to get those with the current pace that we're at.
it's busy too. Like the construction industry is, it's moving really quick. So I'm sure it's not the only thing on their table.
Okay. Did we get you everything you needed?
Option A, with also contemplating purchasing the soundstage in '26.
What materials would we be purchasing in that context?
So everything above ground.
So roofs and steel,
So
For the soundstage?
like everything that,
you know.
yeah.
So for the band shell, this is the band shell that would get on top of the hardscaping.
Yeah.
So that, right now, I mean, we budgeted $1.5 million for this project for current year. We'd spend roughly half of that. I mean, the soundstage is just the band shell itself. It's like $850,000 right now.
Yeah.
Then the other numbers are just projected, we don't have actual estimates for construction, right?
Right, those are estimates slightly high because the size is off, but
Yeah.
once we do an actual RFP, which we would issue in November based on option A's selection, we would have those numbers in December to then award in January for construction in March, April.
I mean, honestly, it seems odd to me from my perspective as, you know, what we do in my industry to pre-buy materials before you hire a contractor. Because what if that contractor's like, I would never use these materials? It just seems weird.
It's a heightened risk.
I don't know. Just
But
thought.
as I understand it though,
Mm-hmm.
there is a company that is going to manufacture this shell.
Correct.
So we're not issuing an RFP for a company to manufacture the shell. We're going,
Purchasing.
It's a
Somebody to put it
stock
together.
pieces, is that what we're saying?
No, it's not stock. This manufacturer that White has worked with, they, you know, they're essentially being treated as a sole provider of this. They're a manufacturer of band shells. They can do the custom pieces, which is what the process we've been currently going through is custom. They sent us some generic ones that they had. We've been customizing it. They can do the customization after a
We
signed
just got,
purchase
we're,
order
we're gonna hire somebody to put it all together.
and put it
I think we're
together.
not gonna assemble it, construct it on site.
Correct. And staff will need to do further digging to see what that relationship is with the manufacturer and then how do we construct it into the space.
Okay.
So it's like purchasing from IKEA.
I was thinking the
Right?
same.
Yeah.
And then hiring someone to put it together.
And the one thing to make sure I'm understanding, so it's not, the board would like a smaller stage as long as it fits all of our orchestra and theatrical requirements. We would like to get as small as possible to fit all those needs still.
We would like the option of
I'd
it.
like to know.
Does that make
Okay.
sense? Like the actual budgetary option and what
Okay.
it would, what the differences would be?
At the same time, I mean, we have one shot to do this,
Exactly.
so I'd rather not cheap out. This is gonna be something the community's gonna use for many years to come, so.
We also don't want this huge structure right in the
Right.
middle of our town.
I think that's the key right now, is we need to see this thing
Yeah, so I think
laid out
Yes,
there.
I need to see it.
Before
Because
we
when you
ask-
tell me that the other stage is 24 by 30, now I'm thinking this thing is gigantic. Like, it sounds really big, and I'm just like, wow, wait, maybe we should see this.
Well, we got Thursday next week. We can go look at that stage and kind of grab a tape measure.
Yeah.
And-
Should get the chalk.
And to
for,
be
like,
clear, I'm
this
sorry, I
small.
should have said
Yeah,
this.
just
The-
chalk it.
That stage is for the Oktoberfest, so that may be, I don't know if there's a different stage for different events. That
Yeah, I
one,
think
that
you're
size is the Oktoberfest stage.
Yeah.
So,
So first things first, we'll try to get a rendering of the current iteration in scale with the surroundings. We'll also stake it out and paint it in the depot itself before we ask the consultant to revise it completely.
Right.
And then if we decide that it is good, we'll go forward. If we decide it is too big, then we will pivot. But we have been aggressively reviewing all options for paying for this as well, knowing that this is a generational investment in the community, and we have, like Ryan said, we have to get it right, it's gonna be used, and we don't wanna end up with something that we wish we had spent a little bit more on to get something that would
Do
last.
more.
Thanks, Caleb.
Did we get any interest on, I think I was going through my notes on it from before, possible sponsors or donors? Has there been any interest?
We've got a potential grant, which is very exciting, and some interested donors, continuing conversations.
Awesome.
Okay. All right, that'll take us to reports. Trustee Ackland,
No report tonight.
trustee Coonsey, or, Tuma.
I just had one more question on the prior conversation. The RFP, can we still go ahead and put out an RFP for the redevelopment at the lumberyard?
Yeah, we were talking maybe next year, once we get everything.
We
laid
do
out.
it this year, I mean, that RFP is pretty much ready to go, right?
So we have the draft RFP of the entire site, so we could modify it to just encompass the area that is not including the Performing Arts Center. So we sort of said we would sequence that as a priority. So first we would RFP the street work, and then we would RFP the demolition of the buildings, and then we would RFP the installation of the soundstage, and then we would RFP the remainder of the site. So, still aggressive, but
It'll be a long time.
we'll do the best we can do to get it out as soon as possible, because like Matt was saying, I do think once we get it site ready, it's gonna be very attractive, and we'll probably get a lot more bids this time around.
I would agree.
Okay,
That's all.
trustee Coonsey,
No report.
Trustee Saviano?
No report.
Trustee Sauer?
Quick report, the Water Street, there was a lot of confusion, I think, with some residents on Bartles Park connecting to the river becoming a parking lot. I think some people saw the map and thought that was just a one-way street, but it does sound like that is a parking lot. I wonder if there's something in the next newsletter that could make it clear that that is a parking lot, because I think people understand that you can't cut through a parking lot, but if it's a one-way road. But yeah, I think just the confusion over that not being a road anymore, but being a parking lot should help.
Bill?
As of Thursday, Friday, we did change some of the signage there, so that as you're entering the parking area, it does say park /riverfront parking only.
And then prior to that, during in the block between Railroad and Second, we added a right turn only sign, so we're trying to do what we can with the signage to help provide motorists.
Did somebody run over that stop sign?
Pardon?
Somebody run over the stop sign?
So at the north end, yes, it's been hit a number of times, so the
How many times?
2 or 3.
Okay.
In fact, we had back during the winter, someone with a trailer drove southbound and took the side route going in the southbound direction. So it's been taken out in both directions.
What do you think about
So-
that, Ron? You think it's a conspiracy?
So the contractor, the inland contractor who essentially built Water Street, they are replacing the base of the sign, and they're gonna move it away from the curb a couple of feet, just to.
Is that something we control for like GPS and stuff? Can we tell people, can we tell somebody? Cause I know people, and Chief knows, people are gonna follow their GPS. If it says they can go straight, they're going straight. That road is gonna magically
Don't we
appear.
have to tell these Google or
Is there,
whoever?
you know?
Yeah.
I think you
is
can
there-
create an account as a village to
We've had
adjust.
cars drive right into the water because their GPS said they can do it.
Put that on our to-do list.
Some smart people out there.
But yeah, on the GPS note, it does say, if you're in Schaumburg and you're saying, how do I get to No Manches up on 31? It does tell you to take Water Street. So that's partly why we're trying to calm traffic is GPS is just sending everyone through the residential neighborhoods. So this should help fix that as it slows things down a little.
Phil, any more report?
Just a quick note, tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. at 406 Johnson Street, we're having a belated Arbor Day tree planting ceremony.
I was planning on swinging by for that. Chief?
To your point, we've stopped cars and educated drivers as best we can, but I just personal experience, I've probably stopped a dozen myself. I'll have a car stop, and another car will go right by that just went north on Water Street, so it's gonna take some time.
Yeah.
Outside of that, no.
Okay. Joe?
No report.
Attorney?
No report.
Erica?
No report.
I have a couple things. Congrats on the Saver grant. That was good. We got the Saver grant to continue the sidewalk. That was awesome. I got a phone call today. I'm going to share it with the board. From Dolores Dorling asking if she could buy the green building back because she wants her office, her mailbox, maybe a barber shop. So I just wanted to plant that seed. I told her probably not going to happen, but whatever. I was also asked, are we doing murals on the parking garage walls or something?
Up top, it's gonna be on a wooden
Concrete.
board on the concrete.
Because I had somebody that was willing to sponsor one or something.
Yes, he talked to me too. He's willing to sponsor one, but I need to see which wall he was talking
I
about
have
and
that.
visualize it.
I just figured
And
I'd
then,
share.
yeah, but I love that if somebody wants to pay for a
Yeah.
mural.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Yeah, let's go.
Is that going where like that big kind of concrete area is? Is it
Four
Up top.
panels
Yeah.
on the top.
I would like to see if we can get a motion to go to a executive session for C1.
I will move to close to the public and media under the provisions of the Illinois Open Meeting Act, 5 ILCS 120/2 C1, Personnel and Legal Counsel, and we will not be returning to public session. We will adjourn from the executive session.
Second.
So, Trustee Okler,
Yes.
Trustee Guma,
Yes.
Trustee Sauter,
Yes.
Trustee Quincy.
Yes.
I exist.
Oh, I'm sorry, Trustee Saviano.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
All right, thanks for coming, everybody. Tim, did you need anything before you leave?
Photographs.
Yeah, let's
Can
go
we
real
take
quick.
5? Can we take 5 minutes?
Yeah, we can take 5 minutes.
Make it 3.
Good seeing you. Normally 3 decent, yeah.
So I stopped this while
I'm taking this phone so I can see the time.
Close to the open.
All right, let's do a quick.
Have a good night.
For the flags?
Cool.
Thanks, Steve.
Somebody's taking a picture.
Eric, will you kiss the camera?
Huh?